The massive space station floated like a jewel among the stars. Inside its great hall, beings from across the galaxy sat in a perfect circle. Their ships hung outside like beautiful works of art, sleek vessels that seemed to glow with their own light. Some looked like living crystals, others like flowing water frozen in time. Captain Jake Morrison stood in the center of the circle, feeling very small. His uniform was plain gray, nothing like the flowing robes and shining armor worn by the aliens around him. Behind him, a hologram showed his ship, the EFS Defiant. It looked rough and blocky compared to the elegant alien vessels. "This is what Earth sends us?" Admiral Kekstar's voice carried across the room like ice. The tall blue alien's 4 eyes studied the human ship with clear disgust. "It looks like scrap metal welded together by children." Laughter rippled through the council chamber. Dr. Lisa Crawford stepped forward, her tablet glowing with technical data. She tried to speak, but the crystalline being called Zixal cut her off. "Humans still use solid bullets and metal armor." Zixal's voice rang like breaking glass. "How primitive! Our energy weapons would melt that junk in seconds." Morrison's jaw tightened, but he said nothing. His crew back on the Defiant would be listening to this broadcast. He would not give these aliens the satisfaction of seeing him lose his temper. "The Voidborn Empire has destroyed 12 star systems," said a green-skinned Verdoni representative, trying to sound helpful. "Perhaps humanity could help evacuate civilians while the real warships handle the fighting." Laughter rippled through the council chamber. Morrison looked around the circle of alien faces. Some showed open mockery. Others looked at him with something that might have been pity. None showed respect. The vote was quick. Humanity would stay in the rear guard, far from the real battle. As the council dismissed him, Morrison received an urgent message on his communicator. The Voidborn Grand Armada, 10,000 ships strong, was heading straight for Earth's outer colonies. Walking back to his shuttle, Morrison made a decision that would change everything. He would not run to the rear guard position. He would not abandon Earth's colonies to their fate. The aliens thought human ships were junk, and human weapons were toys. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The engine room of the EFS Defiant hummed with power. Chief Engineer Carlos Martinez wiped grease from his hands as he watched his newest crew member stare at the massive fusion reactor. Pete Johnson was fresh from the academy, and his eyes were wide with wonder. "Why does our ship look so different from theirs?" Pete asked, pointing toward the alien fleet visible through the small porthole. Carlos smiled. "Kid, those pretty ships out there were built by species that never had to fight for survival. They had peaceful first contact, plenty of resources, and time to make things look nice." He led Pete to a wall display showing the Defiant's armor plating. "Humans built their first space fleet while we were still fighting wars on Earth. We didn't have fancy energy crystals or living metal. We had steel, composite materials, and the need to make things that wouldn't break when someone shot at them." Pete ran his hand along the thick armor panel. "But their energy shields look so much better than this old metal." "Energy shields fail when you lose power," Carlos explained. "This armor works even when the lights go out. See these layers? Each one is designed to stop a different kind of weapon. The outer layer spreads heat, the middle layer absorbs impact, and the inner layer keeps the crew alive even if the other two fail." Dr. Lisa Crawford joined them carrying a datapad. "The aliens think our kinetic weapons are primitive. They use plasma and energy beams that look impressive. But what happens when those pretty energy weapons hit our adaptive armor?" She pulled up a simulation on the wall screen. "Our nano armor changes its structure in real time. Energy weapons make it harder. Plasma makes it more heat resistant. The more they shoot at us, the stronger we get." Pete looked confused. "So we're actually better protected than they are?" "Not just protected,"
Carlos grinned. "Our railguns fire solid rounds at near light speed. No energy field can stop a chunk of metal moving at that fast. While they're charging up their fancy weapons, we're already putting holes in their hulls." The ship's AI, Oracle, spoke through the speakers. "Captain Morrison has changed course. We are now heading to intercept the Voidborn Armada." Pete's face went pale. "Just us? Against 10,000 ships?" Carlos checked his equipment one more time. "Sometimes the best weapon is the one nobody expects you to have."
The Voidborn fleet appeared like a nightmare made real. Their ships were alive, growing larger as they ate asteroids and space debris. Black metal mixed with pulsing organic tissue. Tentacles reached out from their hulls, grabbing chunks of rock to feed their endless hunger. Captain Morrison stood on the bridge of the Defiant, watching the enemy armada fill his view screen. 10,000 ships, each one bigger than a city. At the center floated their flagship, a creature so massive it looked like a small moon with teeth. "Single human vessel," a voice boomed across space. Warlord Grixcon's words dripped with amusement. "You are either very brave or very stupid. Turn around and run, little insect. We have bigger prey to catch." Morrison activated his comm system. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of Earth Defense. You will not pass this point." Laughter echoed from the alien fleet. "One ship against 10,000. You humans truly are mad." Grixcon's tone changed to boredom. "Squadron 7, dispose of this pest. The rest of us have colonies to devour." 20 Voidborn ships broke away from the main fleet. Each one was 3 times the size of the Defiant. They approached like hungry sharks, their energy drain beams reaching out to disable the human vessel. "Energy drain detected," reported Commander Amy Foster from the tactical station. "But our fusion reactor is holding steady." "Their beams aren't working," Pete Johnson said from his engineering console, surprise in his voice. The Voidborn ships moved closer, confused by their weapons' failure. Morrison saw his chance. "All weapons, fire!" The Defiant's railguns spoke with thunder. Solid metal slugs, accelerated to impossible speeds, punched through the first Voidborn vessel like it was made of paper. The alien ship's organic hull split open, spilling its contents into space. "Impossible." Grixcon's voice was no longer amused. "Our armor adapts to energy weapons. How did they penetrate our defenses?" A second Voidborn ship exploded as kinetic rounds tore through its core. Then a third. The remaining vessels tried to retreat, but the Defiant was faster and more agile than they had expected. Within minutes, half the squadron was destroyed. The survivors fled back to the main fleet, carrying news that would change everything. "All ships converge on the human vessel," Grixcon commanded, his voice now filled with rage. "I want that primitive scrap heap destroyed." Morrison watched 10,000 enemy ships turn toward his lone vessel. He smiled grimly and prepared for the fight of his life. 10,000 Voidborn ships surrounded the Defiant like a closing fist. Energy beams lit up space as they all fired at once. The human ship shook under the massive assault, but its adaptive armor held strong. "Hull integrity at 80%, reported Carlos from engineering. "Armor is adapting faster than they can damage it." Captain Morrison made a decision that shocked everyone. Instead of trying to escape, he ordered the ship deeper into the enemy formation. "Take us into the heart of their fleet." "Captain, that's suicide," Commander Foster warned. "No," Morrison replied, studying his tactical display. "That's tactics. Navigation, plot a course straight for their command ships." Karen White's fingers danced over her controls. "Course laid in, sir. This is going to be a rough ride." The Defiant dove into the massive enemy vessels like a shark among fish. The Voidborn ships were so focused on the human vessel that they began crashing into each other. Their formation fell apart as captains tried to get clear shots without hitting their own forces. Dr. Crawford discovered something crucial. "Captain, I'm reading bio-neural networks connecting all their ships. They share a collective mind. If we can disrupt the command vessels, it will cause system-wide confusion." Morrison grinned fiercely. "Target their flagship, all weapons." The Defiant twisted through the enemy formation like a dancer. Its railguns found weak spots in void-borne armor, punching holes through command centers and neural connection points. Each hit caused ripples of confusion to spread through the alien fleet. "Multiple enemy collisions detected," Pete Johnson reported with excitement. "They're hitting each other more than they're hitting us." The battle reached its peak when the Defiant made its final run on Grix Khan's massive flagship. Every weapon system fired at once, pouring kinetic death into the creature ship's core. The warlord's dying scream echoed across space as his vessel exploded in a ball of fire. Without their leader, the Voidborn fleet lost its unity. Ships that had worked together for centuries suddenly turned on each other. Their predatory instincts took over, and the organized Armada became a chaotic free-for-all. "They're tearing each other apart," Foster said in amazement. Morrison watched the enemy fleet destroy itself. The single human ship sat in the middle of the chaos, battered but victorious. Around them, 10,000 alien vessels fought a civil war among the stars. The impossible had happened. One human ship had broken the greatest armada in galactic history.
The silence after battle was deafening. Where 10,000 void-born ships had once threatened the galaxy, now only scattered wreckage floated in space. The few surviving enemy vessels fled in random directions, no longer a unified threat. Captain Morrison stood on his damaged bridge, watching the debris field that had once been the Grand Armada. His ship was scarred and battered, but it had survived the impossible fight. "Incoming transmission from the Galactic Council," reported Commander Foster, barely able to hide her smile. The view screen filled with alien faces. Admiral Kexla, who had mocked them hours earlier, now looked stunned. "Captain Morrison, how did you—" "We monitored the entire battle. One ship against 10,000. It should have been impossible." "Sometimes the impossible just needs the right approach," Morrison replied calmly. Dr. Crawford stepped forward with her tablet. "Our adaptive armor and kinetic weapons proved more effective than anyone predicted. We'd be happy to share our technology with the Council." The crystalline being, Zixal, spoke, its voice no longer mocking. We severely underestimated human engineering. Your primitive methods saved us all." Within days, everything changed. The aliens who had laughed at human technology now begged for it. Orders poured in from across the galaxy. Every species wanted ships built with human armor and weapons. Earth's status transformed overnight. The Terran Republic went from being ignored to becoming the most important military power in known space. Human engineers worked alongside alien scientists, building a new generation of warships. Captain Morrison received honors from dozens of worlds. But the victory came with responsibility. The Voidborn had been just one threat among many. Earth now had to defend not just human colonies, but the entire galaxy. 6 months later, Morrison stood in a massive shipyard orbiting Earth. Hundreds of new vessels were under construction. The Defiant-class ships combined human durability with alien technology, creating the most powerful fleet in galactic history. Pete Johnson, now a full engineer, worked alongside alien technicians. "Captain, do you think we'll face anything worse than the Voidborn?" Morrison watched the new ships take shape. "The universe is full of dangers, Pete, but now we're ready for them." The prototype that had been mocked and dismissed had not only crushed the Grand Armada, It had proven that sometimes the most effective weapon is the one nobody expects. Earth's children now guarded the stars, and the galaxy was safer for it.